My name is Fulata Moyo. I originally come from Malawi. I work with World Council of Churches responsible for gender issues in Geneva. My name Fulata means I was born feet first, not head first. And among my people that has so many meanings, but I will not drag you into that. But one thing to mention about my growing up is that when I was between 9 to 12, I was raped by my cousin. And the process of getting healing from that trauma dragged me into so many things, so much searching. And when I had a sense of getting healed, it gave me hope that anybody who has that experience has to get healing. But I think from the beginning, it was an experience that just gave me that activism to try to work against sexual and gender-based violence. So I'm passionate about it, and so adopting the Thursdays in Black for me is a personal mission as well. Most of the times when you think about the existence of inequality, gender inequality especially, and the extent to which the understanding of a woman and young and old usually it's like you are just a sexual object, and you cannot make decisions about yourself. So many times if you are religious, religion defines what you can do and what you can't do, and cultural context define what it means to be a woman and what you shouldn't do as a proper woman. And I think it becomes so overwhelming most of the times, and you wonder whether anything can make any difference at all. I think when you look around and you get so overwhelmed by the reality of inequality, one thing you should remember is that for me, especially in Christian understanding, I am made in the image of God, and I'm worth dignity and respect, and that keeps me burning in me, and always I think for me the fact that I'm that means that I cannot give up to what the world has decided to define me as less than that. And I think as a Christian, we also have so many resources that can help us. I usually use contextual Bible studies to read text so as to raise awareness about issues of inequality, especially gender, but also to raise awareness about gender and sexual and gender-based violence. But I think also using contextual Bible study helps also to remind you that this battle you cannot fight it alone. It's something that you have to find always people who are also concerned about the same issues that you are concerned about, and find alliances. And I'm so thankful about the youth movement in the Church of Sweden, that you have a way of connecting every year. For a week you focus on a certain theme, and I think this theme of holy peace is a theme that is very important, and it brings to fore so many issues, and gender equality and justice, and the understanding that you can't have peace unless there is justice. And I think when it comes to gender justice, you know that even when you talk about gender justice and peace, you have to also think in terms of peace is not peace unless there is no sexual and gender-based violence. And most of the times, the countries that are known as peaceful, they are not challenged at that level, that you can't be peaceful unless if you know that there is no woman who is being violated at any moment in their life.
Okay.
So working together with the like-minded is very important. And as for you youth, young people, mobilizing each other, raising awareness about such issues is so important. And this week is very important. I think I'm very happy that you have such a week, and I know it will bring a lot of hope. So we don't have to work on our own. We have to mobilize and work with others. But our passion as individuals is very helpful to motivate our work together. I think I joke about this, but it's not a joke. I mean, I give an example of, I live in Geneva. Several times I've walked on the streets and I've seen like maybe really like a man who in all sense does not, I mean, if he was honest, he would know that he's not my level. Like, I mean, I'm not talking about class, but really like he sees me, I'm walking on the street, and he's probably picking up trash, putting into a trash van. But he will look at me proudly and smile at me and think that I should be very happy that he acknowledges that I look nice. And I think for me, the moment when women will have that confidence that they can walk down the street no matter how they look like, whether they are dressed in a shabby way or they are not the shape of Barbie doll or whatever else our communities have defined beauty to be, can walk down the street with the confidence that everyone is impressed by their walking down. I think when we reach that point, and we reach a point where as a woman I don't have to prove anything to anybody, I don't have to depend on compliments from men to affirm me, I don't have to prove myself 10 times better than everyone else to be acknowledged, but to be just taken that I am God's image and I am worth the dignity. When we reach that point, then our struggle against gender injustice would have stopped. I think, gender injustice and rape or sexual and gender-based violence, these are problems of the community, not just for women. It's not a women's problem. Unless we come to that point, I think we will find that the struggle is one-sided. So, what can men do? I joined World Council of Churches in 2007, and one thing that we started that year was to look at what men can do to address a problem that they are part of. Okay, so one of the issues was we found out that actually sexual violence and also general gender-based violence, 80% of it is caused by men directly. And so we said, okay, if this is a problem that is caused by men, then men have to be part of the solution. So we started a process of what we called men and positive masculinity. And so what did we do? We would, if we had a consultation, we brought an equal number of women and equal number of men. And these we worked with them back to back. Okay, so we had some sessions where women and men were together and they set out their agenda, what were the issues about their relationship. Because when you talk about gender, you're talking about a power relationship between men and women, how they understand it, how they understand their roles, how they understand their relationship and all that. And so the first session would be that. Then the second one would separate them, the women on their own, the men on their own, to talk about how were they socialized, to understand what it means to be women, to understand what it meant to be men, and what were the problems of that kind of socialization, or what were the opportunities. And then we would come back together again. So what we discovered was that most of the times, yeah, patriarchy does not give even men themselves an opportunity to talk about their struggles. It creates monsters, people who should not express their feelings. They should always be leaders. They should always be in control of things. They should always make sure they fix problems. And these are not human beings. I mean, human beings have struggles. Human beings don't always have answers. Human beings have emotions. Emotions actually are an important part of our expression as human beings. So to create people who are not normal is actually the first problem. So men can do a lot. I think the first thing, as a youth movement, you should create an atmosphere where young men should talk about what are their struggles and what do they think would be their solution, the solution to their struggles, and how do they want to work with young women to sort out these problems. And so this safe space needs to be created for men and women to be able to talk about their struggles in a safe atmosphere where they are not judged, where there is no too high expectation of them. So men have a lot to do in this way.
Yeah.
So the hope for Thursdays in Black, in short, is that there should be a world where gender justice is the reality and peace is actually inclusive of no sexual and gender-based violence. So that's the hope. And we believe that is achievable, especially now also because we have another frontier of a challenge, which is human trafficking, which is really modern slavery. How do we make sure that gender justice is also a lens through which this fight against modern slavery is achieved? So that's the hope, that there will be gender justice, gender equality and justice, and peace will be inclusive of relationships of respect, mutual respect, love, and no taking advantage of the other.